the risen Christ and say, come out of this guy. Give up that mess, because it's going to destroy you. I promise you, it's going to destroy you. Yeah. I said that years ago in another dry time. I was out with an ATS group. We were out by the boat dock, and I was showing them the little anchors from those boats. Like, this is when Jesus stopped. And it just hit us all. It hit me in a way I wasn't expecting, because I hadn't seen this. I just saw that now the boat dock is exposed. And when it was exposed, we're all looking at this, and I said, okay, let's all be quiet. Believe it or not, I can be quiet every now and then. And I said, I won't talk, you don't talk. Let's all think about where our other side is. Where is that place? And I guarantee you, it's the last place you want to go to, because you have all of your traditions built up that say, don't go over there. Oh, they'll eat you alive. You know, you can do your thing here, but don't expose things over there. They have their own life, and it's under control of the Roman army. So it ain't going to happen anyway. You'll be wasting your breath. I said, let's all be quiet. And as soon as I said that, one of the young ladies in the group said, Dr. Widbin, I know my other side. You know, and I'm thinking, oh, boy, that ruined the moment. You know, I'm thinking, and I said, well, you know, anyway, that's good, but we all should think about it. You know, think about that a little. She said, no, if I don't tell you now, I'm not going to do it. So that stopped it all. I said, okay, tell us. She said, she told us a story about how she had been kicked out of her family in Myanmar when she became a believer years before. And she'd been working at the Hefzibah place, Hefzibah House, on the Upper West Side. You know the little guest house there? You know, yeah, you know it? Go down there? She's not there anymore, but she was there. She was a hostess. And she said, I actually saw people come to Christ. And I said, thank you, God, that you had a place for me in this world. But then when you talked about this passage, I realized this is not my place. My place is my family. And they're going to kill me. But I got to go for them. I got to go back to them. You know where she is? She's in Myanmar. In Myanmar. Without fear, with perfect resolve, she said, I'm going there because that's my other side. I don't know if her family's come to Christ, but I can tell you she's in Myanmar. Every now and then, I get a postcard from her, or I get somebody relays a message that NOE is holding forth the gospel message in a terrible place where Christians are persecuted systematically. That's really listening to this text. That's really taking it seriously. And so at some point, all of us are going to have to take on the threat and the risk to move in. And that's what this guy did. And you know, he decided, how would you know, Jesus has been telling everybody to follow me for a long time, and now he tells this guy, don't follow me, get away from me. Stay here. Isn't that something? Yeah. So we like the idea of following Jesus, walking in the footsteps of Jesus, but we got to be ready for the fact when Jesus said, now you get out of here. I'm going back to heaven. You carry forth in the empire. And that's really what happened. Because he's gotten used to being with Jesus and how that determined the way they would live. And then all of a sudden he's gone. He said, now, I'm with you always, guys. I'm not leaving you, but you go away from me now because I'm going back to my Father. And you tell your story. That's what the Great Commission's all about. And if we don't hear the Great Commission like that, we don't sense the risk in it, then we really haven't come to terms with what the Great Commission is all about. I'm preaching in Puerto Rico here in a couple of weeks for the 50th anniversary of a big church, La Cumbre Church in San Juan. And I'm thinking about all these things I could say to encourage them, and I'm thinking now maybe I should be discouraged in that. Rather than building big churches, maybe we should be bursting through the walls of the churches and going somewhere else to change the world by the power of Christ. So that guy stayed over here. Now here's the end of the story. I promise I'm done. Jesus comes back 2 more times. We find that in Mark, and we find that just a couple of chapters later, so we don't lose track of what's going on. First time he comes back, there's a whole horde of people over here, and they're bringing the deaf and the blind, they're bringing their children to be healed by Jesus. This is the crowd that says, get out of here, leave us alone, let us have our kind of life. He comes back, we don't know how long later, but the next trip back, when he went to and by the way, this time the disciples get out of the boat. Finally, they get the message. And when they get out of the boat, they've got to be dealing with the people. And you know what the first thing they did? They say, Lord, we got a problem here. these guys don't eat kosher. So, you know, we can't eat with them. Isn't that just like it? They're carrying their traditions with them. Jesus said, I don't care. You know, I can feed the 5,000, I can feed the 4,000. See, the 4,000 are Gentiles. The 5,000, what's left over is the 12 baskets for the 12 tribes of Israel. The 7 laundry barrels are Gentile containers in the feeding of the 4,000. But Jesus says, Gentiles, Jews, doesn't matter, the hill of beans to me. Everybody needs the message of the gospel. How come so many? What changed? One guy. One guy. That's all it took. Who was willing to go and stay on the other side and not follow Jesus to the religious side. That's all it took that time. Next time he comes back, it's an overwhelming force. So much so that it creates the church here of Kursi. And that bishop of Kursi goes to the Council of Nicaea and he argues that Jesus is 100% human because he knows about what happened over here. He saw what a human being can do. And that said, I'm just a human being. And I can go forth with the same message. And I can confront authorities, the exousias, the authorities of this world. And I don't have to be afraid of them. Even if they kill me, well, they killed my Lord too. And we're on the winning side with this one. But he's got another side. Think about it. And to help you think about where your other side is, pick up a flint stone, will you? All right, and put it somewhere. When you're ever inclined to get comfortable, you know, and stay back, not take the risk for a fear of offense, look at that flint. And remember the guy cutting his skin with that flint. And remember there's people out there that need the freedom that the gospel message offers. And it only takes one person who's willing to do that, who's willing to carry that message. And it'll change not just people, but the whole other side. We're talking about systemic change here. Not just personal life change, but to break down systems and free people from these things that hold them in bondage. Amen. God, may it be so for all of us. I feel like I'm talking to myself today. Who already believe what I believe, but Lord, there are others out there that don't see it. In fact, they'd rather I not be around. And I'm kind of messing with their businesses. Lord, give me a new boldness to do what you've challenged me to do with my life. And for each of us, Lord, make it clear what you're doing so we don't fall into the trap of just trying to do something for you. We want to know what you're about so we know what to participate in. And here we've seen the God that's willing to go over to the other side to reach people. In the name of Jesus we pray.
Amen.
Yeah, the cemetery was up there.
So we're going to go up there? We're going to be able to go up there, right?
I don't know if we're gonna go up
It is
there.
like a hiking trail.
Yeah, are we gonna go up there?
Maybe.
It would be nice to see that. What's the significance of this flint he's talking about?
That's how the demoniac cut himself. Yeah.
Should you get a picture of that?
That's the song. And that's volcanic. Yeah, that's so.
It looks like
It's
this.
going to be kind of a Indian red. Same style of stone.
The feeding of the 4,000 was on that
Yeah,
mountain?
the feeding of the 4,000 right over there on that sloping hill, right over there.
And that was the first time he came back after healing the demonic?
Yeah, actually, I blended the first.
Yeah.
The first time he came back, there were the people bringing the deaf and the blind and everything
Right, the
from the healing.
healings.
Then the second time he came back, that's when he fed the 4,000.
Did the disciples get out of the boat both times?
The disciples get out of the boat and find there's a last Yeah. The second time he comes, that's where you have that time where the disciples are out struggling in the boat. And by the way, storm erupts on the sea. And I think what they're trying to say with that is that, you know, the disciples are thinking, the God is warning us not to go to the other side. See, people always read these things as a sign that God doesn't want us to do this, you know. But Jesus says, shut up! And then, wow, let's keep going here. You know?
And those are in Mark also.
And the disciple, what kind of guy is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. Meaning, he can handle anything. So why should we be afraid of this stuff? You know, but they don't get out of the boat. But then finally, the last time they get out of the boat, what do you know that they raise the issue of unclean food? You know. Just like us, that's right. We will find some excuse, and usually it's some sort of religious tradition, to keep us from doing the dangerous things.
Do the Synoptic Gospels have all three of the visits?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I'll give you the text on that.
Okay.
And Matthew picks it up as well, because Matthew also slots it in his gospel. Yeah. Hey, by the way, you know what the gospel narratives were for, right? Not for that generation of Jesus' generation, but for a later generation when the persecutions begin at the destruction of the temple. And so what the gospel writers are trying to tell us is that Jesus has always been asking you to lay your life down. And now's your opportunity. You get to be part of it. Put your neck in the noose, you know. Don't deny him when you're carried into the Colosseum. Proudly proclaim his name. You know, break down those walls of power and authority, you know. But they were inclined not to, so they needed stories like this to say, look at what happened. The whole world changed. So this guy took a risk and stayed on the other side rather than with Jesus.
Are we going to go up to the tomb?
Yeah, so if you want to go up, I'm not going to climb, but you can. You see up there where the railing is?
Uh-huh.
All right, now what you're going to see is this. You say, but I don't see the caves. Yeah, because the caves have eroded away. They did so much building of that little chapel in the 7th century that they destroyed the caves. You can still see the inside of the caves, but you can't see they're covered anymore. But if you look to your right, you can see on the next hill, there are caves. So we know we're in the area of this chalk geology. Now what you're going to see is, you see that big pile of stones up there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the pile of stones. A pile of stones doesn't represent God. It's not an idol. It represents an event of something God has done. Yeah, it's a memorial stone. So when you look at this pile of stones, it's designed to remind us God did something.